Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving for those of you celebrating. I hope you had a safe and wonderful time. It is Black Friday, so it is time for another Friday flip. So today what I'm going to be flipping is the finished volume 4 of the DIY traveler notebook style inserts that I've been using this year. If you take a look at the link down below as well as in the card, you can take a look at my Friday Flip series in which I flip various journals as well as these completed volumes. So this one is volume 4. So let's go ahead and flip that one. I'll show you an example because people ask me that. How does this compare size-wise with a regular TN? So that's a regular TN cover. You can see it's about the same height as the cover on the inside, but it's quite a bit wider. So, as always, these DIY inserts that I make in classic traveler's notebook style is a single signature, a variety of paper folded in half, and I use wallpaper for my covers. It's one of my favorite wallpapers samples from the books that I've collected over the years. That is just such a great pattern. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. So as you can see, it's 2020 volume 4, and I started this one in October 17th of 2020. Images in here will come from something I find on Pinterest or something I find somewhere on the web. I actually did use up black paper this time. If you've been in my on my channel for a while, you know that me and black paper have a thing going back many, many years. And so all I did here was take a stencil and just traced out with a white Signal ball pen while I was listening to a podcast. It's actually a very soothing thing to do. And, I'm just listening to a podcast anyway. Some of the ephemera that come, or almost all the ephemera that come in that you will find in my journal, come from stuff that shows up in the mail. I don't buy any ephemera anymore. These are images from a Zoom call. The Harvard Bookstore was having a call with 3 authors, so I was kind of doing that. Kind of Thanksgiving, playing around with the colors. So, I always tip in postcards and other kinds of things. There's sketches. So if you've been here for a while, you'll see that, I have a pretty standardized way in which I tend to do my journals, in that I open up a page to the very next one. This is my nephew when he was really little. And just start creating. I have no plan necessarily of what I'm going to do in a page. For example, I just was sketching 2 people that happened to be on a Zoom or a YouTube video. And then I decided to go ahead and add some things that were on my desk. There's always notes. There's always record keeping. There's always stories. This was the year 2020 with the pandemic. We did the mail-in ballots in Massachusetts, well, most of the country, but I just was keeping track of some of the ballot questions that we had. There's always sketches that come from comic books that I'm reading. As always, there's a link down below to my Goodreads if you want to go take a look at that. Again, it's just a mishmash of kind of things that are in my stash. Again, here's a stencil that I took a pen and just sketched out, or colored in, if you will, the stencil using a pen while I was listening to something. Adding, sketches, photos, texts. Again, this comes from the Death Note manga series that I was reading and actually just finished recently. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea, that particular series. So just kind of sketching things, getting closer to Halloween. So there's always Frankenstein's monster. Now, this is something that has been in my stash forever. It's one of those, what are they called? Tattoos? They're kind of water-based stick-on tattoos. So you put them on your skin, you put some water on them, and then you get these tattoos on your skin. Now, what have I been holding on to these for? I'm not going to use them anymore. So I decided to just take a bunch of them, cut them up, and use them in my journal. So you can see these are the same kinds of things. And in this particular case, I just wanted to keep the whole sheet in there. It's Halloween season, and I picked up several years ago some washi tape that was on clearance after Halloween. and, kind of using packaging, because these are the stickers that I've been using in my journal here as well as in my weeks that I'll do a flip of at some point, and just kind of going ahead and using the supplies. I kind of liked this idea. I used to do this a long time ago, is when I cut out shapes from paper, is actually the leftover paper is actually kind of got kind of cool stenciling effect. So just using that in my journal again. Some sketches, some notes, some washi, drawing from life. It's actually kind of funny. This is exactly the same stuffed animal. They look like they've gained a quarantine 20 in this sketch. And then I realized, well, that's just not right. So I went ahead and did that again. Taking notes from books that I'm reading. Again, ephemera that I collect. That's just all in my stash. This is another one of those water-based tattoos that I kind of stuck on. Stuff, the washi, images that come from various supplies that I've had collected over the years. This was election day itself, just kind of keeping track of, okay, how am I going to stay sane today so I don't get caught up in all the craziness. Zentangling, I don't do as much, but, just kind of putting some sketches down, taking a line for a walk, creating some images is a really wonderful way to soothe the mind while I'm listening to something. Kind of doing some skeleton fishes. So one of the things you'll notice, and I've said this before, I tend to work in my inserts in chronological order. And this is an example of where I don't. So here's November 3rd, for example, and here's November 10th. And the reason being is this particular insert has got watercolor paper in the center of the spine. And I wanted to actually have more time to do more painting as opposed to just my usual way of quick sketching and some writing. So this is watercolors, and I did this on the 25th, so just the other day. And here's another one. And these images come from a book called The Big Book of Fashion Illustration. It's just kind of fun to take a look and see how people do fashion illustration. Again, if you are a fan of The Crown, you have watched season 4 and cannot wait for the next season. This is from very early on. So this is season 1. And when Claire Foy is playing the Queen as opposed to Olivia Colman today. So just kind of writing a little bit about watching that season and how fun that has been. Excuse me. Again, sketches that come from a graphic novel that I'm reading, postcards that come in the mail, notes. There's always sketches. It's just kind of fun to take a look. It was interesting to see, so if you look at my pages, actually drawing people is something I started doing, I would say, 4, 5, maybe years ago or so. And I can tell that my style has gotten better in that they are recognizable, at least to me. But one of the things I don't do is put a background on my faces and do body sketches, like a full body sketch. So that's one of the things I was kind of playing with was, what does it look like to actually draw people in their entirety? And that was kind of a fun thing. I just went and took a look at Google and said, show me people walking, and did some sketching on that. It's kind of just fun to take a look at. Again, things that come in the mail. This is a sheet of music paper that I gestured on one side. And again, this girl comes from that same book of fashion illustration. I just kind of like the idea of I wanted to play with some acrylic paints for a little bit. And kind of left her sketchy, but that was kind of fun. Same thing with that image. Here's again another piece of that watercolor tattoo stuff. Again, characters from Death Note. And my friend Pam sent me a book of an encyclopedia of world games, and it's just got some really fun images. Thanks again, Pam. So this is from that image. I just backed it on some cardstock and kept track of some of the current COVID numbers on the 15th, and it's just been horrifying. Again, some notes, some images that come from magazine or art museum catalogs, sketching people on Zoom calls, people that I see, that my family sends me images of, postcards. Again, I have a very similar style of journal keeping. I like images, whether they're photographs or ephemera. I like sketches. I like some washi. I like some color. And I like writing. It's always writing. Writing is just one of the things that's a standard for me that is always in my journals. As I said before, writing is never the problem. It's coming up with other stuff to fill the pages, not just all text. So again, this comes from, I think, the MFA catalog 1 year. So here's another one of those. I noticed I did quite a bit of this because this election time has actually been kind of stressful, as well as having the COVID numbers do be increasing every day. And so it's been really soothing to be listening to something while I go ahead and play with my white Signo pen on these black papers. Now you can tell I closed that page before it dried completely, so there's some white speckles here, but don't care. This is one that's kind of interesting in that I don't know if that washi tape will show up, but it's kind of got these pink tulips on the bottom, and it's a transparent piece of washi, so it doesn't show up as well on black. In person, you can actually see it kind of nicely, but I kind of was playing with the idea of other kind of botanical styles there. And so this is a page from last year again. These guys come from that Fashion Illustration book that I was looking at. So that was Thanksgiving, and this is this morning, actually, just finishing up this particular journal. So this is the 27th, Black Friday, and that's the end of this journal. So as you can see, it took me October 17th through November 27th. And to answer some of the questions I've gotten before, I do not journal every day. Sometimes I do, but I don't make it something that I create stress for myself, because the thing that I've noticed, and I know all of us do, is when you create stress to do something, it becomes a chore. And that's not something I ever want my journals to feel like, is a chore. So I tend not to do that. I just come and play whenever I feel like playing, and I never really start out with an idea. I just go ahead and take a look and see, what's the next page and what do I do with that. Okay. So that's journal insert number 4. And again, as you can see, it starts to get pretty thick because I add a lot of stuff into these inserts. And so as I was starting to get towards the end of the journal, because I work in chronological order, that hump actually became more and more irritating as time went on. And so one of the things that I will be doing is changing up how I'm going to be doing my art book / art journal / sketchbook for 2021. So stay tuned for that video. And so this is volume 4 of 2020 complete. Here's volume 5. Another one, I just really love the color. You can see a video of how I made these inserts and kind of what they look like before I start filling them up. It's on my channel. You can see it in the Friday flip links up and down below. And so this is going to be volume 5 for 2020, and so it'll almost be, I think, starting tomorrow and maybe the rest of December, and I really see going into a volume 6. So this might be the last insert I use for the year in terms of, art journaling. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. Please leave links to playlists or journal videos or blog posts that you have. I would love to go and take a look and see how you're playing. And I hope you are well and safe and continue to remain so. And I will see you next time. Bye.